have some fun on the call if wanted, but just remember it's recordable. Just, just reminding you guys of that. So I'm gonna serve as the moderator here. And if I end up having issues with my network, Rocky is the on deck hitter and he'll step in for me. But what I want to do, we're keeping this to an hour or less today. But what I want to do, we got a small enough group. I'm going to start from the left and go to the right, and I'm going to just call your name. And what I'd like you to do, if you're an alum, just say
just another MLS.
just say name, an initiation year, where you live and job. And if you're an undergraduate, say name, you're in school, and what your major is. And I'm going to start with Rocky on the left.
Rocky Gunderson, initiation year 72, live in Cupertino.
Brian.
Brian Remington, initiation year spring 91. I live in Clayton in the East Bay, and I'm currently have two jobs, both the director of sales for a company called Contentful, as well as the interim global head of SDR at the same company, but doing both at the moment.
Wow. Art.
I was initiated in 1981, graduated 85, applied math, economics, double major. I'm a private banker for First Republic Bank in Newport Beach.
Dennis.
Dennis Brown. I'm based in the Bay Area. I live in Danville. I was fall 90, graduated in 94. I work at Veritas Software, and I'm currently running sales for the Americas.
Great.
What else was I supposed to say? Is that it?
Okay, that's good. Lawrence Allen.
Yeah, I'm a spring 21 recent initiate. I once lived in Santa Fe, California, but I now live in the house.
Okay, and do you have a major yet?
Yeah, I'm mechanical engineering.
Okay, great. Jackson.
I'm also a spring 21 recent initiate, and I'm from Orinda, California, and I currently live in the house as well, and I'm a molecular and cellular biology major.
Okay, Parker.
Hi, I'm Parker Boucher, spring 2020 initiate. I'm planning on majoring in economics. I'm a junior.
Okay, Tommy.
I'm Tommy. I am an initiate of fall 20, and I am undeclared right now, but I'm gonna probably declare econ, and I'm from Orange County.
Okay. Sam.
I'm Sam Wardwell, initiate year fall 2017, and I'm a senior majoring in economics.
Great. Cal.
My name is Tal. I'm a junior majoring in economics, and I'm spring 2021.
In the quad. Nice, I like it.
Yeah. Liam.
I could see the hoop.
Hi, my name is Liam Webster. I'm a recent spring 2021 initiate, and I'm studying engineering.
Hey, Wyatt, you're up.
Hello, I'm Wyatt. I joined the house in fall 2019, and I'm interested in studying economics and maybe legal studies, and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Great. Ethan.
Hi, my name is Ethan Barnhart. I was initiated in spring 2017. I'm a senior, and my major is in organizational management.
Okay. Roman or Romaine, I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
It's Romaine. Hi, I'm Romaine. I'm a fall 18 initiate, and I'm a computer science major, and I'm a junior.
Great. Logan.
Hi, I'm Logan. I'm from Newport Beach. I was initiated in fall 20, and I plan on declaring economics.
Great. Rajat, you have to tell me how to pronounce it.
Oh, you can just call me Raj. So yeah, I'm Raj, spring 21 recent initiate. I'm currently undeclared, and I'm from Long Island, New York.
Great. Christian.
Hi, I'm Christian, fall 2020 initiate, prospective econ major, and I'm from Moore Park, California.
Barton.
Yep. Hey, Barton Trimble, from Washington, D.C., junior studying economics with a minor in data science.
Clearly, economics is a major choice here.
Yeah, smart kids.
Joey.
Hey, my name is Joey Glickman. I'm from San Clemente or Mission Viejo, Southern California. I'm a recent initiate of Spring 2021, and I'm majoring in business administration.
Great. Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm from San Francisco. I'm majoring in psych, and I was initiated fall 2019.
Great. Jesse.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm a Spring 21 recent initiate, and I'm from Orange County. I'm a junior, and I'm majoring in chemical engineering.
Okay. Adam.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Adam Hernandez. I'm a fall 2020 initiate, and right now I'm majoring in political science and Arabic, and I'm a sophomore.
Okay. Matthew.
Yeah, hi, I'm Matthew, fall 19. I'm an intended MCB major, and yeah.
Okay. Callum.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Callum. I'm a sophomore from Sacramento, California, and I'm majoring in interdisciplinary studies.
Okay. Now let me see where we are on the next page here. You guys can. I'm on to the second page. So who haven't we got here? Let's see.
Hi,
it's
sorry,
Jack.
Yeah, Jack. There we go. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Jack Casey. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. I'm a fall 20 initiate. I'm a sophomore studying political economy.
Great. Gavin.
Hi guys, I'm a senior from Sacramento, California. I'm a fall 18 and I'm studying business.
Zachary.
How's it going? I'm Zach Forbath. I'm from Newport Beach, California. I was initiated in fall 20, and I intend on studying econ.
Okay, Mitchell.
Yeah, hi, Mitchell. I'm from Pacific Palisades, and I'm a spring 2018 initiate, and I'm an econ major senior.
Great. Amir.
Hi, I'm Amir. I'm from Riverside, California, majoring in biology on a pre-med track, and I'm spring 2021 initiate.
Great. Urban, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, it's Urban. Hi, my name is Urban. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm a recent Spring 21 initiate. I'm double majoring in biology and business, and taking a pre-med track.
Great. Caden.
Hi, my name is Caden. I'm fall 19. I'm a sophomore. I'm majoring in business, pre-Haas, and I'm from Palos Verdes, California.
Okay, Austin. In the quad.
Hi guys, I'm Austin. I'm fall 17, studying nutritional sciences and integrative biology. I'm going to med school.
Great. Neil.
Hi, everyone. I'm Neil Patel. I am a senior also in fall 17 with Austin. I'm studying business, and I'll be going into strategy consulting next year in SF.
Great. McLean.
Hey, hi, McLean Marks. I'm a senior. I'm from Orinda, California, studying legal studies.
Okay. Alec.
Hi, my name's Alec Crystal. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm a spring 2021 initiate, and I'm studying molecular and cellular biology.
Okay, so that's so we got a couple of these out of place. So Garrett.
Yeah, one sec. What's up, guys? My name's Garrett. I'm from San Diego, California. I pledged in 2012, graduated in 2016, and now I work in the Marcus and Millichap West LA office.
Great.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I'm supposed to be here, honestly. It seems like everyone here is like an
There's a-
active member or not.
There's-
You're
no,
good.
no, we-
You're good.
We
Garrett.
absolutely open it to alumni. So sometimes we'll have a
All right.
handful, sometimes we'll have more. So no, I'm glad you're here.
Let's go Bears. All right.
I think I missed Mitchell.
Yeah, I already said, I already went.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. And then I think it's David. David Dangood. Oh. It's still connecting. Okay, guys, why don't we just go ahead here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask some questions of our three speakers, and in some cases we might have one couple will respond to it. In some cases it might just be one, and then at the end I'm going to open it up. I'm going to let the speakers kind of just talk about anything they want, and then any of you can ask any questions that you have. But I'm going to start it first on the financial services side and ask what advice that you have for those looking at a career in financial services. And Art, this goes to you.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. My advice for people, or just the idea of getting into financial services, I'll tell you, is it's a great place to learn a lot about a lot of different industries. It's very unique in that you see from the inside out everything. You see what every type of doctor makes. You see what every private equity person earns. You see how businesses, nonprofits are run. You see how country clubs are run. It's a fascinating place to learn a lot about a lot of different things from the inside out. And oftentimes a lot of a launch pad for people into industries when they've discovered something that they're really, really interested in. I think it's really important in financial services to get with the right company. And when I say right company, I think about it as financial services is really an ever-changing landscape. A lot of technology changes going on, and you have what are some companies that are declining. There was roughly 10,000 banks maybe 10 years ago. Now there's about 4,000. And those things, so changes are happening very rapidly. And there's those that are declining, those that are flat, and those that are growing. And you can imagine the ones that are declining, they're laying people off. The ones that are flat, they're replacing the people that are leaving. And the ones that are growing, they're adding people. I think about our company last year. We started the year with 4,000 employees and we ended the year with 5,000. So, we hired 1,000 people or 25% more people. And growing at roughly 20%. So really critical to get with the right company. And generally that has a function of what their strategy and what their culture are. So I think it's really critical for you to, when you're evaluating these companies, understand what their focus and strategy is and understand what the culture of the company is. It'll make a huge difference for you long-term in terms of how well that company performs and what opportunities present themselves to you. I think that's really the key. I would say about financial services, get financially literate. It's really critically important while you're at Cal and be, anything you can do when you're looking for one of these jobs is people want to hire people that understand something about financial affairs. And so if you're not reading anything about what's going on out there, it's going to be a little bit tougher for you to have a conversation with a banker who's looking to see if you're interested and if you're convicted about getting into the business, because that's what makes for a successful banker.
Great. The follow-up now is advice for those looking at careers in sales. And Brian and Dennis, you get to tag team this a little bit, and I want you to, think about it from a point of view of how an undergraduate can prepare themselves to go get that first job, and then any advice you have. And why don't I start with Brian and then we'll go to Dennis.
Yeah, well, thanks everybody. I think I heard a fellow PIS major out there, but I don't think I said that when I introduced myself. So as you all know, when you were looking to figure out your majors, sales wasn't on the list. It's not something you can actually major in. Like, yeah, you can do business, you can do econ, you can do all those different things. So like, what can you do in college to prepare? I have 3 very important reasons I hire people. And that is they're intrinsically motivated, which means that they have their own personal reasons for kicking their own ass for not being great at something. 2 is they're coachable as heck, which means they have a growth mindset, meaning that, you know, you're all at Cal, you realize that learning is hard and tomorrow's going to be another grind and another hill. But coachability is different. Coachability is being able to do the little things consistently. And then lastly, it's extreme self-awareness, and it's the willingness to raise your hand and say, I suck at this, and I need someone to help me build a path to get good at this because I know it's a skill that I don't have. I call it the pufferfish syndrome, right? We hire a lot of people that come in with this, you know, pound in their chest, and then you get to the point where their knowledge ends 6 months later, but they haven't learned anything new and they fail. So learn, as you're learning at Cal, learn how to learn. Figure out what that curiosity is and build a system for yourself in terms of, be honest, that it takes me longer to learn new things. So I need to make sure that I'm building a plan for myself and I have a strategy that drives my learning process. Because if you get into sales, specifically around, like, I come from the tech sales world, it's moving a mile a minute. What you know today does not mean you're prepared for what's coming tomorrow. So you better have a plan, not just in your normal day, but outside of that, to figure out how you learn and how to push yourself to get to those places.
Great.
Dennis,
Yeah.
please, I'll hand it off to you.
No, I mean, Brian, when you said there is no real curriculum in college for sales, I couldn't agree more. But you touched on some important characteristics. I mean, listen, I would say this is, you mentioned the technology industry. I mean, it is so dynamic and things are changing so incredibly quickly. It's like, if you're not learning and staying on top of things, I mean, it's literally the world passes you by. But I just would back up a little bit and say that from, you know, hearing your guys' majors, and, you know, you guys have there's a huge cross section of different, you know, education experiences and majors. Anyone can be in sales, but it's a lot of the things that Brian just talked about in terms of the intangibles that are going to separate people that are really successful in the sales field. I would tell you from a technology sales perspective, which is what Brian and I probably can speak to best, there is immense opportunity. And a lot of that has to do with the rate of change, the rate of innovation, and all of the crazy things that are happening that I'm sure you guys are seeing and changing and impacting your lives on a daily basis. And so I think it's a really exciting time to, you know, have the opportunity to be graduating, potentially get into sales in technology. But when I think about, you know, the people that have been most successful in technology sales, I think of a couple characteristics. I think number one, it's people that take ownership, right? They take ownership of the company they're working for, the products they're selling, the knowledge and the value and the outcomes they're delivering for their customers. It's people that are team players. I mean, you know, Brian played a lot of sports. He just mentioned being coachable. I mean, it is, I can't say how important that is to people that we're bringing on board early in their career, that they are, you know, they're adaptable. I sometimes say chameleon-like, but they're team players. And I think the other thing is, that was mentioned relative to financial services, which also is very relevant around technology, is this whole idea of continuous learning. I mean, just always learning to stay ahead. You know, one of the things I think about, you know, a lot is, I think the ability to stay ahead of your competitors it's the only sustainable competitive advantage you can have, is learning faster than your competitors. I think another thing I would highlight is a sense of urgency. In sales, you know, it's fast paced. There's deadlines, there's pressures, there's numbers to hit, and those that really thrive with a sense of urgency tend to excel. And I think, you know, grit's a word that comes to mind, but just never quitting. I mean, it's just challenge after challenge after challenge, and it's how are you going to break down that wall and be successful? And it's interesting. I've seen so many people come into the business that have left the business, and so many people that come in, and the people that come in and stay in are successful. They have those intangibles. They're competitive, they have drive, they're money motivated, and again, they have a sense of urgency and sort of this coaching, and they're very much team players within the organization.
Great.
So
something I'd just add to that is, if you're looking for some reading about self-awareness, because I do agree, I think it's a couple critical things are empathy and self-awareness. And so you have to be empathetic to put yourself in the shoes of your client and understand what their motivations and their needs are in order to be a great salesperson. And I think a lot of people try to operate on their own agenda as opposed to trying to find sort of a win-win, if you will, with their client. If you read a book like on emotional intelligence, you'll learn a lot more about self-awareness and some of the issues that you need to be grappling with to be really good at relationship development, because it's critical. Most sales are not just one-time sales. They're how people feel after you're all done. How is that a continuous cycle of sale that you can make? And so it's critically important to understand relationship management. And that's part of this idea of emotional intelligence. So if you haven't heard that before and you're looking for something, look up and get a book on emotional intelligence or emotional IQ. It's really powerful.
That's good advice. The next question here is related to, and I want you to, the three speakers, to think about it from the point of view of not just somebody that's going to work in finance or sales, but even the guys here that are thinking about med school, grad school, anything. Is what are you looking on a resume? What makes a resume or an application stand out to you? And then if they're lucky enough to have that stands out, what are the couple takeaways in an interview that gets somebody to that next step? And I'm just going to go left to right. I'll start with Brian.
Sure. There's so many different pieces, but I'll pick two, and then let my peers here fill in the gaps. One is, who do you know that I know, right? Who are you connected to? What groups are you a part of? What have you done? And this doesn't have to be just LinkedIn, but a lot of those pieces. You guys are early in your career, so you're saying like, well, I don't know anybody yet, probably that you know. But it's, have you started preparing yourself for this next role before it was time for you to need to prepare for this next role? The second thing is, I want to see that you're more than a one-tool player. Like, to expect you to be a 5-tool player right now, to use a sports analogy, is probably a little crazy, because you've been, your head's down, doing a lot of school and other stuff over the years. But I want to understand that your brain works differently than some others that are very single-threaded in what they do. I want to know that you have a logical side. I want to know that you have an emotional side. I want to know that you have, a crazy side. I want to know that you can come to the table and not just do what you're being told, but also question why you're being told these things and why you're doing it, and then come back and prove me wrong and make the process better. Like, I get extremely excited about those types of things. I want to see that, were you just in a fraternity, or did you have an officer title, right? Did you do things that you didn't have to do that made your existence harder simply because you wanted to? And I use the analogy usually of running a marathon. And again, as Dennis said, I played football at Cal, so I'm 6'3", 290, so I did not run a marathon. But it's kind of one of those things where, I want to see that you did something that was already hard, and you put more stuff on your back to the point where halfway through, you'd have to ask that voice in your head, like, is this worth it? Like, why the hell are we doing this? And that you told the voice in your head to piss off, we're doing it anyway, because crossing that finish line is really what I wanted to do. So show me those things. Show me whether it's volunteer. Show me whether it's a role or an officer position. Show me that it's a certification that you did on the side because you want to be a coder or one of those types of things, right? Show me more than the other 100 people that I'm probably looking at for this job. Because right now, getting the right job means differentiating yourself and showing that you've already been willing to do more and you're willing to grind, as Dennis said. And that'll just replicate when I bring you onto my organization.
Right. Art.
I think you nailed the whole piece on what you're looking for in a resume. What have you done that really says that you're trying to do more than just what is the standard? You know, hey, I'm getting a degree. Well, what more are you doing? Did you do a minor? Did you anything that says I want to do more because I want to stand out and I want to be competitive and I want to be at the front end of what people are doing. I don't want to be in the middle and I don't want to be in the back. That's a successful salesperson in my mind. So I think you hit on all the right spots there. When it comes to an interview, I think it's really about what's this person like to sit down and talk to? Are they easy to talk to? Would you want to have dinner with this person besides for some other purpose, just to hang out with? I think that says a lot about the type of person that you are. Is it an ease of conversation or is it difficult? Those are all things that I look for. And then I'm looking for desire. It's critical, and conviction in what you want to do, that you've shown some sort of, I want to go in this direction. And here's the things that I've done to show you I want to be in this direction. So a little bit of planning and a little bit of foresight, I think, is important.
Great. Dennis?
Yeah, those are good. And you touched on something that I wasn't thinking of, but I'm gonna start with it, which is, would you want to go to dinner with this person? I'm a big believer in like culture. And I think the organizations that we all want to work for, the ones where I've had the most fun and success over, 20 years, are the ones that have an incredible culture. And the culture is driven by great people. And so while it wasn't something that I want to highlight, I think it's super important because I absolutely, when I finish an interview, you either have a good feeling and sort of a connection or you don't. And if you don't, it moves over to the side, and in all likelihood, it doesn't move forward. And so while that's not what I was going to highlight here, I think that's a great point and something to be very cognizant of as you're going through the process. It's not about likability. So on top of that, what I would add is, looking for relevant experience, right? Obviously for the role and whatever the situation is. But I'm looking for proven success. And I think it's like Brian touched on it, but for me, it's not like just doing one thing. I want to see like a trend. I want to see that competitive, fire and drive and success. What it might be sports, like if you're just coming out of college, it could be, club activities. If it's a few years into the career, I want to see proven success. And maybe you're going to switch from one industry to the next, or pharmaceutical to tech sales. But I want to see that consistency. I want to see that fire, that proven success and track record. That like I leave the conversation that someone is a winner. That they want to come and be successful. Desire, I think, was mentioned. Couldn't agree more. The other thing that I would just add in that wasn't mentioned is having done research, right? Having done the preparation on the role, the network piece that Brian talked about, that you have done that due diligence that's sort of worthy of my time and effort, and also shows the level of sort of commitment and interest to the role that we're talking about. So I would add those things.
Great. I'm going to add just a couple other things and not say what they talked about, but all of us are in a fraternity. And we're all going to become interviewers sometime. Everyone in here is going to interview sometime. And when you look at a resume, and if you look at the resume and it says SAE at Cal, and it doesn't say anything about committees served on, offices held, you just told that person something that's probably going to keep you from getting a job. They want to see people that are willing to get engaged in the chapter, on the campus. They've been more of a team player. And then I'm going to say one thing about interviews, and that is an ability to read the room. So, if even on a Zoom call, you can read the room. You can read the room on me that I like to hike Sedona. You can read the room on Dennis that he clearly likes to snow and he probably likes to ski. But when you do in-person interviews, look on the wall. Look and see what's hanging, what was in the office before you went in, because that's going to give you a personal thing to connect with the people you're talking with. The next thing, and any three of you can answer this, is what's the best strategy for everybody, no matter what the industry is, to network? You know, what are your thoughts on how to network if any of these freshmen or sophomores want to get an internship in their industry, or they're graduating seniors and they're still looking for a job?
Yeah. I'll start. And, you know, I mean, we live in a digital world. We all know that. And, you know, what I'm seeing, we have this program that we just started. It's called ECP, Early Career Professionals. And so it's people that have graduated from college that we're recruiting into different positions throughout the company, whether it's we've got a bunch of sales. We just brought on 30 salespeople, brought on a bunch of engineers. But as we bring some of these people in, and they go through basically like a 3-month curriculum training program, try and get them ready to get them out into field sales. It amazes me how digitally savvy, you know, these early career professionals are. My son is a freshman at TCU. He's a business major at Neely School of Business, Finance, and Real Estate, and the stuff, the opportunities that they put in front of them to go learn digital tools for marketing it blows my mind. So like a lot of this stuff, you guys probably know better than us. But what I would tell you is the teams that we have at, you know, technology companies, I mean, HR organizations are so plugged into these digital networks. And so, I mean, I'm the first to say, I've been, you know, I graduated in '94, you know, I LinkedIn, but not very well. But I think it's a huge opportunity. And quite frankly, I think it's the future. And, you know, if you want to really get out there, I think it's understanding, you know, what messages you're sending digitally, doing it effectively, not, you know, inundating, you know, sort of all of your followers and whatnot. And I think there's a bunch of things, whether it's, you know, some of the social media things can be used effectively, but there's a lot that are, you know, professional tools that can really set you up for success. And I think you got to be very aware of your digital brand, if you will.
Yeah, I love all that. And just to add to that as well, I would say, first and foremost, you're here. So kudos to all of you.
Yeah.
Right. For being here and doing things like this. And honestly, like if every single one of you doesn't invite me to be part of your network on LinkedIn, I'll be disappointed. Right. Like this is why you're here. Knowing people and making those connections and doing those types of things. But I like to say, you know, none of us are Sir Edmund Hillary, right? Who was the first person to go to the top of Everest. Like so many other people have done it now. So no matter who you are and what your major is and where you're from, there are people out there that you can be introduced to or ask directly questions about what was hard. What did you not think about, right? And I'll use an example of, I'm sure if there's, you know, people that are student athletes on this call going, how can I have an office when my coach has got me, you know, up at the stadium 95% of the time doing stuff? Like, how can I do that? Well, guess what? I did it. So leverage the people that have taken the road that you're looking to take and ask them, because there are some intricacies and some other things that you need to know about that process, but then start expanding that. And for you that are brand new, you know, 2021 initiates, don't think, well, lucky for me, I have 3 or 4 years before I have to start this stuff. Bullshit. Like, start now, right? Because you want, right? I like to say that, you know, your network is like your vacation fund. You don't start deciding to put money away when you want to go to Hawaii or go to Mexico, right? You need that money before you go. Well, your network's the same thing. When you need a job, it better be tight, and you better know some people, because all of us here are standing on the shoulders of someone that gave us a shot.
Well,
right?
Brian, and I think the other thing is, like, don't be afraid to ask. I mean,
yes,
Brian's here because he wants
Perfect.
to help, right? I just think, like, there's just certain people that have reached out over the years of my career, and like, because they took that step, and they were probably afraid of rejection or didn't want to ask for help, but you want to go out, people want to help. And so I just would encourage you guys to get out of your comfort zone. You know, if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to, you know, send my resume, I'm going to, you know, reach out and text or link, it's taking that extra step, right? And having that confidence to do that, I think, is another thing that can set you apart.
Well said.
Give you something that I learned when I was at a 2-week program, sort of graduate program, and told me about this story of networking that really hit home with me. And I'm an old school networker. So I started before there was computers, and it was really just, who you knew, contacts, see people. And so I was always out and about. And the lesson that I learned from this Harvard event that I went to was a story about Paul Revere. And they had this story, and it talked about how there were 2 people that did a midnight ride for when the British were coming. And people only know one, and that's Paul Revere. And supposedly Paul Revere rode to the north and some other guy rode to the south. Well, the difference was that Paul Revere was involved in a lot of different groups. Maybe he had a group that he talked politics with, another group that he, played bocce ball with, but he had a lot of different groups, and he had connections between these groups. And so when he rode and he went to tell people what was going on, he talked to one person in each group and told them to tell the people in their group what was going on. And the guy in the South, he only belonged to one group. Because he belonged to one group, he rode to all those people. It was like an echo chamber. So he didn't have anybody that he really talked to because it was a small group. I would really encourage you to think about how many different groups you belong to, and to try and diversify those groups as much as possible. I have volleyball people that I'm grouped with, I have people that I surf with that I'm grouped with, I have people from SAE that I'm grouped with, people from high school, people from skiing. I mean, the more groups you have, the more networking you'll build. And it is absolutely amazing how it compounds over time. If you're just open to meeting people and getting to know them, it's incredibly powerful. And I would say you can never start too early on your network in anything you do, not just sales.
I mean, it's just so well said. And I think I just want to give this example, and Brian, you can add to it, but like Brian just took a new job, and because of his network back to us, right? I mean, Brian was interviewing for a job, and I started getting emails and texts from, his boss asking me about Brian and asking me to be a reference. And of course I gave him, my full support, but it's those networks, it's those interperson connections. And again, I think a lot of people, I have a friend who went to Cal, his son's at UCLA graduating. He's petrified to go put himself out there, to ask for help, to network, to be a part of all of these different groups outside of the ones that are really comfortable. But I would tell you, every job that I have up to the one that I have right now was based on my network, based on someone who knew me that I'd worked with, that pulled me into the next role. And all of those people talk. And I have hired probably 20 people at Veritas in the last 3 years that were part of that network, right? And so it's just this continuous thing. And I just think it's very powerful. And so you really need to be thinking about that as you set the trajectory of your career and what you want to do.
Yeah.
By the way, I thought I'd share real quickly. I asked a couple business school deans this question. I said, what have you seen with fraternity and sorority alumni, the difference between the ones that have hit the home runs and the ones that have not? And the theme that rose was the kids got out of their box early in their fraternity period. So they got involved in other organizations and they just weren't involved in SAE. So, a couple of us have said that, find a way to get engaged outside the chapter. And when you're an alumni, a young alumni, do the same thing, get involved in a bunch of things. I'm going to try to keep us, on time here. So, you guys, each of you've talked a little bit, but I want to see if you had to pick 4 or 5 soft skills that you wanted to see in somebody that walked into an interview, what would they be? I'll start, Brian, I'll start with you.
Goodness, that's a tough one, but I would say that I better not be your experimental first interview. I'll tell you that. Like, I better know that you prepped your butt off to come in and 8-mile the crap out of me, right? You should know exactly what I'm going to ask you to do. You should know exactly what the hard questions are, those types of things. The other piece is I want to understand that you're authentic and that your answers weren't coached, even though you had a lot of that training. I want to be able to understand that you're speaking from your heart, you're speaking from your experience, and you're being very, very truthful with me, because I think that's where coachability really comes in. It's the willingness to not just come in and you think an interview is all about like, I need to show this person how great I am. When the reality is, I just want to know if you're honest, if you know yourself, if you're about to try to take this job for the right reasons. That means that I don't have to come every day, give you a list of 10 things to do. So this goes back to intrinsic motivation, coachability, and self-awareness. But I also want some, not maturity, because I don't expect you to be mature. You're just coming out of college, right? But that self-awareness piece, and I'll use this example, and no offense if anybody thinks I'm talking about them, but if you're the 6-foot blonde surfer dude from Manhattan and your vocabulary still fits that, show me that you know exactly who you are, and you're also showing me the other things that actually bring those to the middle, right? That show me that you know what, like, hey, you may think this about me, but I'm going to show you that that stereotype is wrong, because all the answers I'm going to give you completely contradict what I think you thought of me when I walked in the door.
Great. Art or Dennis, anything else?
I would say the most important thing in my mind is adaptability. I think we touched on it earlier, is think of yourself as a dinosaur, and every day someone's trying to make you extinct. And if you're not adaptable, generally that's probably one of the most important soft skills I think you can have. I do agree with the self-motivation. I think that's a critical piece. I think that empathy, as I said earlier, is a critical soft skill to have. And then finally, I think you got to have great listening skills. You know, if you miss something, it can be an entire deal on something that you just let pass because you don't listen well. So really emphasize that.
Great. Dennis, anything?
I mean, you guys got both of them. I always think of adaptable as chameleon-like, and I just think that's incredibly important. Brian, I like authentic, but I would add humble confidence, right? It's one thing to have confidence and be cocky. It's another to know, you've done the preparation, that you're well equipped to, take on this role. And I think as part of that, for me, one of the things that really separates people is the ability to communicate. And, I just think it's, whether it's, there's a lot of things, there's not a lot of, I'll say public opportunities. I think there's more as I look at some of the curriculums of some of the business schools today in colleges. But the reality is, I think people that communicate better, particularly, this really applies to sales, but I think it, applies to financial services and all sorts of different industries. The people that are the best communicators, I have found, are the ones that rise to the top. They're the CEOs, they're the senior executives, the ones that connect with people. And so I think a lot of that has to do with, sort of that quiet, humble confidence in those communication skills. And I'm going to underscore something that was said, which is this whole idea of self-awareness, being self-aware, understanding your surroundings, understanding you're new in the industry, probably, or new to a company, and really proving yourself. So I think those are things that are really important from a soft skill standpoint.
Great. So I'm going to ask one more question, then I'm going to open it up if anybody's got questions. So I ask each of you to answer this. What's one thing that people on the call here can take away and be more prepared for whatever path they're going to go, whether it's financial, whether it's sales, or whether it's going to med school? One thing.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I was going to say something, but I'm going to change it. I think it would be mindset, right? And so for me, there's just, you might change careers 3 times, but it's all about having the proper attitude and mindset. And, it's so anyways, I think mindset is what I would say is really critical.
Great. Art or Brian?
I would say thinking of being a better salesperson every day. And that means, what 35 years into the business is, all I think about is how I could do a better job making a particular sale or a particular pitch. And being that chameleon, if you will, that can adapt to whatever difficulty you have with a client personality. The wider your breadth of able to adapt to those people, the more successful you'll be. So I would just say everybody starts out as generally, in my opinion, sort of a weak salesperson, which is, throw 100 things in and maybe 10 come out. And it's kind of surprising when you get to a really high level of sales, you're throwing 100 things in and 99 come out. I mean, so literally you're improving that funnel effect in a really dramatic way, but it's doing that iteration of changes every single day and being aware of what things don't work and trying to adjust and saying to myself, it's like you say running a marathon or running a sprint it's great if you run a 999, but tomorrow you got to run a 998. You just got to keep improving. That's what it's all about in sales.
Great.
Yeah, I love those. And I'll take the sports analogy here is that, nobody waits till game time to decide what they're going to do, right? Like you guys have amazing people around you. You're obviously number one public, education university in the world. You've obviously chosen the best fraternity on campus. So you have access to a network that can help you practice. So whatever decisions you make, even if this is an informal interview, but it's at the company you really want to work for, come in showing that you've gone through the motions and you're not there to waste their time. You're there to accentuate what you already have. So the worst interviews I've ever been a part of is when I do my piece and I say, hey, do you have any questions? And they're like, no, not really. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm your future boss. Like, I've been in this industry for 20 years. How do you not have questions for me?
Let's move
right?
on.
So come prepared. What's that, Matt?
Move on to the next interview.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, sorry, we already at time. But do your homework and practice with each other, practice with people. But again, like I just accepted 6 different invites, right? I'm more than happy because, like I said earlier, I'm standing on the shoulders of people. Like I'm going to be paying it forward for the rest of my life. So I would love to help people realize what the obstacles are moving forward. And I don't care what you're looking for, whether it's interview practice, any of those kind of things. Now, if you want me to coddle you and tell you how pretty you are, don't come practice with me, because it's going to be hard, because I want you to walk in. And again, back to you athletes, right? There's nothing better than walking into a game and realizing that your teammates were harder to deal with than the team you're about to play, right? And you're like, damn, that was kind of easy compared to what my teammates did to me. Come out ready to go with your scars and that you know what you're doing. So you guys are in a great position, and the fact you're doing things like this, congratulations. But take advantage of it. You own your destiny. Nobody else does.
Great.
And Dennis said this earlier, just ownership, right? Like take it by the reins and be the reason for your success.
Hey, Kate, I'm gonna open it up, and Kate, I want Caden to go ahead and ask the question first, and then if anybody else wants to ask a question, you can put it in the chat or raise your hands just so I can see you. Caden, you're up.
Hi, my name is Caden. I just wanted to ask if you guys had any advice for like one-on-one sales or sales calls. I know we've talked a lot about like what qualities to have in an interview. But like acquiring new clients or like one-on-one conversation with them, like any sort of advice for that?
I would say you've got to figure out what people's needs are. It's really a question and answer process about, first, I always start every sale with a warm-up, which is getting to know the person, because if you don't know them, it's a little hard to relate right to begin with. So I think you should always spend like 4 or 5 minutes chatting with someone and getting to know them. And I like that idea that I think that Matt said, that look at something in their office, they're fishing, whatever it is, and start a dialogue with them. That's a critical opening. And then from there, you're really in discovery mode, and you're trying to find out what that match is between what you're selling, and it may be you that you're selling, and what their need is. And that's really a form of communication, a sort of question and answer session.
Great, great. Lawrence Allen's got a question.
Yeah, so I have a Tesla and a SpaceX internship interview coming up, and I was wondering if you guys had advice for those.
What? Know more about the role and the internship than the people you're speaking to. It sounds impossible, right? But don't go in and say, "Hey, I'm interested," because who you are. Tell me about the role. Right? Again, show them that you've done the due diligence and you've done the homework, and come with some questions. The best thing is if you have a question and they say, "I don't really know that. I don't know the answer to that question." But come prepared, curious as heck about what they're doing, but also do your due diligence about the company, about, I'm sure they have something posted about the internship program and what it means and what you're going to get out of it. So be incremental in that conversation to them versus just going in and asking them to regurgitate a bunch of things that you honestly could have learned on the website.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, just so you know, I'm going to send an email of this recording, but I'm going to add a couple videos in it. They're about 5 minutes long each. To one of my business partners that has actually went through how to do your elevator pitch, how to research the company. They're just little bits of advice that will help you in that. Let's see, Urban, you had a question, and then I'll go to Christopher.
Yeah. So one of my questions, going back to like the interview approach and everything, when you're looking at someone as a whole, what are your thoughts on? I've seen a lot of people who are really good at like 5 different things, right? Who are proficient at 5 different things, and the other person's like really good at this one thing. What type of person do you look into more or find, or what are your thoughts on who you would pick as a better candidate for anything that you're looking for?
I mean, I would say diversity usually wins. Like the ability to have multiple, to have, all of those different, we talked about, from a networking perspective, all these different groups, it makes you a different and diverse individual. And I think, I'm always looking for people that be sort of utility players, to use, sports analogies with Brian, right? Someone who could, grow and evolve. And I think people that are more dynamic, have multiple skills, different experiences, are probably going to be a better fit. I go back to the comment I made about culture, and I'm hiring for culture. I mean, I am hiring people, and yes, education, and yes, testing and grades, but I'm hiring people because I want to build a culture, and I want it to be filled with a bunch of winners. And I think one other thing that was just mentioned by Matt, I think is really important, is have your story. I mean, that Tesla interview, you need a story that is your story, brings you from all of your history to that point in time of why you're there talking to them about that opportunity. And it's got to connect. That you've got to have that story. And I think if you, if you've got that story and you can connect with the person that you're being interviewed by, you're going to have a good outcome.
I would emphasize that width over depth. I do think there's definitely strength in having wide interest. But that's not to say that a person who hasn't delved deeply into something might be somebody who really is inquisitive. And that can be really powerful. But I would encourage, if you're that deep person, is get some width. And if you're the width person, get some depth.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Christopher.
Hey, how's it going? So I just wanted to ask, because I'm currently studying computer science and math here, but what I really want to end up doing is like quant trading and like high frequency trading in like the finance world. So I was just kind of wondering if you guys had any advice on like how to kind of get more into the financial world when I'm coming from like a math and CS background without much finance like experience.
Let's let Art take that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like the program. I think it's called the MF program, a Masters in Financial Engineering at Berkeley, which is really when you take a techie person and you cross them into finance. I think you should really look into that. And there's a lot of schools that are coming out with those programs because it is really powerful. If you have that sort of math mind, it really does help you immensely when you get to really complex financial instruments. And I think it's really demonstrating your ability to do that crossover, which is to have, you probably need some degree of training. I think it's, a year's worth of training. And I think that master's program is sort of it. I don't know that there's some advice I could give you outside of that would help you do that crossover well.
Great. Any other questions, anybody? I mean, we almost timed it perfectly, 7:57. I said we try to get it done by 8. If not any other questions, basically what we'll do is Rocky will get me the recording. I'll get it emailed out to all the attendees. I'll add the links to the videos. And then these 3 guys didn't volunteer because they don't care. I'm sure they'll take your call or connection if they want. If you want to dig a little bit deeper into some questioning and talk about their industry, I'm sure that they're willing to do that. And our goal with these is we're going to continue to try every month or so to do them. We're going to do one on engineering and technology, and we're going to do another one on entrepreneurship, innovation, and strategy. And there may be a time where somebody like Brian and Dennis could literally just come in and do a 1 or 2 hour and just talk sales, just, like a training session. So undergrads, this is really your program for you to come back to us and say, what do you want out of it? What the alumni are the resources to carry it out, but share with us, go to Caden, let Caden share with us, what type of programs you want, and we'll continue those. Any other questions, or otherwise, we can call it a night. All right. Well, I think,
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
I really appreciate
thanks
it.
for Dennis, Art, and Brian. Thanks for your night, and Rocky, thanks for hosting.
Hey, great to meet all you guys, and thanks for the opportunity.
Cheers and
All
Phi
right.
Alpha, everybody.
Thank
Good
you,
luck,
guys.
everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye,
Alpha. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
guys.
Alpha.